Hello there, my name is Rob and welcome to my first video of 2020. Now, I think we can all agree that 2020 isn't off to a great start. We're still only a few weeks into January and so far Donald Trump has tried to start a war, half of Australia is on fire and Brexit is still happening. So I thought it would be good to look back at 2019 and look at the good things that 2019 had. Because although 2019 was a complete dumpster fire of a year, it did have some really good metal albums. Dozens and dozens of really good metal albums came out in 2019. And I listened to all of them, or at least all the ones that Google has indexed, and I have ranked all of them. I gave each of them a score from 0 to 100, and this video is my top 5 metal albums of 2019. Now obviously this is basically my favourite albums of last year, but I have tried to be a little bit fair. I've tried to even the playing field as much as possible. Basically what I did was I gave every band that had an album out last year a score from 0 to 5. Sorry, 0 to 5 from your point of view. And then I gave each album a score from 0 to 100, and then I took off a percentage from 0 to 5 based on how well I already knew the band. So for example, bands like Korn and Slipknot, I gave them a 5, and so I took off 5% of my score for that album because that's how much I already liked the band. For new bands that I'd never really heard of, like Cult of Luna, Dark Throne, there's so many others, I gave each of them a 0, and so I took off no part of that score. That's kind of even the playing field a little bit. So before you shout at me in the comments about my top 5 albums of 2019, just remember I've tried to be fair and unbiased, but this is still my top 5 albums, so, you know, it's whatever, it's whatever. Anyway, let's begin. Number 5 on my top 5 albums of 2019 is Slipknot, We Are Not Your Kind. Now, I love Slipknot. Slipknot are a fantastic band. This album is pretty good. I mean, it's on my top 5 albums, but it's in the number 5 slot because, I mean, there is a lot to this album that I'm not a massive fan of. There are a lot of songs that are more atmospheric, they're instrumental, they're slow, they're, for lack of a better word, boring, and they really bring down the album in my opinion. Now there are some really fantastic songs on this album. Nero Forte, for example, is a fantastic song, one of my favourite songs of last year. But there's only 3 or 4 songs like that on this album. The rest of the album just isn't that good, and it really brings the album down in my opinion. You can have a different opinion, please don't shout at me. You're going to anyway, so, you know, it's whatever. Anyway, number 4 on my top 5 albums of 2019 is Baroness Golden Grey. Now, just gonna say, this is the reason I made this video, because I had to research all of these bands, and some of these bands I already had preconceived notions of. I was like, oh, I don't like that band, I know I don't like that band, I'm not gonna look forward to listening to this album. Baroness was one of them. I really didn't think I liked Baroness. I thought they were a black metal, really heavy band that I don't like. Listen to this album, this is fantastic, this is a great album. It's more like hard rock. I don't know if their older stuff is heavier than this, but this is a really good, almost easy listening hard rock album. It's really good, I just really got into it. And I think the reason it's on this list is because I had such low expectations, because I thought I knew what this band was. Listened to this album and went, oh, this is nothing like what I thought this was, this is great. I think I like Baroness now. So if anyone out there knows any more Baroness songs that I should listen to, or albums I should listen to, let me know in the comments, that'd be fantastic. Number 3, Children of Bodom, Hexed. Now, I love Children of Bodom. I got into them when I was a teenager. Children of Bodom was maybe the first band to teach me that metal music wasn't just Iron Maiden. There were so many different variants of metal, and when I first heard Children of Bodom, I was like, oh, this is also metal. Oh, I've not heard this before, and I really got into it. It was very extreme for me. It's probably the extent of my limits into that kind of metal, but just the speed of it and the impressive guitar work, I love it. Now, I was a little bit worried when Hexed came out. I was like, oh, am I still into them? I got into this band more than 10 years ago. Maybe I've changed, maybe I've evolved past that. But no, I think that Children of Bodom have evolved, because this album is so much tighter, so much cleaner than their older stuff. It is still the same style of music, it's just done better. It's got that really fast, heavy drum beat in there that pulls me in. The vocals are less screamy, which means I can get into it more and enjoy it more. It's a really good album. Number 2, Dark Throne, Old Star. Again, I didn't think I would like this band. I looked them up. Dark Throne are a black metal band, and I'm not really into black metal. There isn't a lot of melody there. It's very difficult for me to get into. It's just not my style of music. Nothing against people who do like it, just not for me. So I put this album on and started doing some work, and then about half an hour later I went, is this still the same album? Because I really like this. And it was still this album. but it was nothing like what I thought it would sound like. The entire album had this kind of driving drum beat in the background which pulled me into it, and it kind of had a bit of a Motorhead vibe, and I love Motorhead. So I listened to the rest of the album, absolutely loved it, looked up Dark Throne afterwards, and saw on their Wikipedia page that it says for the last few albums they've moved a little bit further away from black metal and have more of a Motorhead vibe. And I was like, oh, cool, I was right, that's exactly what I thought it was. So I love Motorhead, any band that is even vaguely close to Motorhead I will love. This album is fantastic. I've started to listen to more of their stuff, even their older stuff that's more black metal. Dark Throne are fantastic. If I can see them at some point in the future, I will be going. Now, just before we get onto my #1 metal album of 2019, I just want to say 2 things. Number 1, if you like this video, please could you click like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments that you want more things like this. Just help out the algorithm, be a bro. And number 2, I want to say that this video was so much fun to make. As I said with Baroness, I had a lot of preconceived notions of what a lot of these bands were like. And so listening to these albums, it completely smashed my own preconceived notion of what this music would sound like. I now like so many more bands far more than I did before. Anyway, now on to #1, my absolute top favourite album of 2019 is, I mean it had to be, it's Korn, The Nothing. It had to be. This album, oh my god, I love this album. This is my favourite thing to have happened in 2019. When this album came out, I was kind of like, oh, is it going to be the old Korn? Is it going to be, you know, new metal and very stuck in the 90s and it's going to be cringy? No. It's got fast guitar stuff, it's got rap elements, he still does that weird vocalist stuff he did back in the 90s. It's everything you love about Korn's new metal style mixed with Slipknot's metal style. Put them together, it's new metal. Which is a terrible name, but I don't care. This album is fantastic. Everyone should go listen to this album, even if you don't like Korn. If you do like Korn, you've probably already listened to it. I cannot say enough good things about this album. It's fantastic and I love it. And that's me done. That is my top 5 albums of 2019. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, can you click like and subscribe? It would be fantastic. Follow me on the social medias at OverAgeKid. Buy me a coffee on Ko-Fi. All of these things. You guys are fantastic. My name is Rob and I will see you in another video very soon.